All right, good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's beautiful Sunday morning, end of August 2023. Oh, that sounds so good. That sounds so good. But anyways, a real quick video here for you guys, and we'll do a little bit of work. In the last video, if you did not catch it, or maybe you did and I did not get into detail, I talked about building my own mirrors. I showed you technique about how I use metal and stuff. And I think I mentioned windshield wipers, maybe a couple of other things. We'll go ahead and cover that in a little bit more detail here today. Let me go ahead and get the lights up. I may not want to admit it. I'm just a fool for your stockings, I believe it. There we go. All right, we're set up now. So basically, let me give you a quick rundown. We talked about the front panel on the Freightliner, which will go right there once the model is completed. It's actually a piece of metal, a piece of sheet metal. There's our metal windshield wipers. Very delicate. I'll install them at the very end. I'm not sure how they're gonna hold up. I may switch to styrene, but and I tried to do that this morning, but the look of the metal just, it blows me away. I love it. And but either way, styrene or metal, because it is going to be a delicate item, we'll install that at the very tail end. Here's the two front grab handles. Now I misspoke. Last video, those two right there, I said I had always understood, but I was wrong, that was for helping lowering and raising the cab and stuff, and tilting the cab, I should say. But no, what Tom Klein told me, he said that would be pretty much impossible due to the weight of the cab. There isn't a guy strong enough that could pull that down or up. He said what that is, that's for you to grab on when you step up to change your windshield wipers or wipe down your windshield, your windshields in this case. So Tom corrected me that last time. That was a while ago, and I said it wrong again last video, but I'll go ahead and mention the correction right away, right off the bat. Those are hand grabs that you grab. You put your foot on top of the bumper and you pull yourself up to clean the windshield or change out the wipers or even the running lights up on top of the cab. So let's go back down here. And I actually use model railroad actual metal, white metal castings to replace the plastic oversized, way too thick ones that come in a kit, in my opinion. And I'm just sharing that in case you guys ever want to go down that road of exploration. I happened to stumble upon these. I forgot I had them. This is how they come. These things came out in I want to say about 67, 65 through 67, maybe. That's how they come. You got to clean up all that flash. You got to do a lot of cutting down, filing down, clean up all that flash in order to get to what you're trying to represent on your model. As a matter of fact, if you guys are familiar, I think they did it in HO also, but in O scale, there was an outfit they used to make wooden boxcar kits, but mainly what they used to make was Southern Pacific wooden streamlined passenger cars with metal fluted sides that you would attach to the wood box of the passenger car, and you would come out with a metal passenger car. The outfit was called Boxcar Ken, if you guys remember that name, if it rings a bell. If you find the kits in your local hobby swap meet or whatever, check it out. Maybe there's some parts in there you guys can use. But these came from the Boxcar Ken line of O-scale kits once upon a time, long ago, back in the 60s. I went ahead, since the last time you saw the video, I popped off one of these grabs when you're climbing up into the cab. And these are usually located back here. I went ahead and popped one off by accident, but it's a good thing because I had not been happy with my results. And what I did is I sanded down the base on each one. Those 4 bases there. In my opinion, the way they come out of the kit, they're way too chunky. They're way too tall. I shaved them down about half their thickness. And it just looked odd on the model to me once they were installed, because it looked like they were like big giant elephant ears just popping out every time I looked at it. To my opinion, they sat too high and they were way too noticeable. I went ahead and shaved them down, not knowing what they were going to look like. But I happened to look at a video on YouTube on Landon Durant's Freightliner, where I get all my detail screenshots and stuff. And yeah, I was correct. On the real one, they're more this thickness as opposed to the AMT out of the box, where they're almost pretty much more than doubled in size. So that improved the look drastically. We're looking at here, these are the turn signals that hang below the mirrors on each side. I went ahead and popped them off. I'm not going to use the ones that come attached to the actual mirror frame assembly from AMT, but I am going to use AMT's reflector, the yellow. That would be 5 different sprues. Let me see what I got here. Okay, here we go. AMT provides you with these beautiful lenses in red and yellow, pretty much in almost all their kits. And the ones I'm going to hang from my mirrors are going to be these guys right here. I'll just paint the ends silver to simulate the metal band that goes around them. And just, it's styrene on styrene, so you just glue it to the bottom of your mirror assembly, which would be right there. They hang down, it's like a circle, and that's your turn signals. So I cut them off. This is a step that I'm going to use. Let's see if we get some glare on there. You can see the safety tread pattern on there. There you go. That right there. We're going to go ahead and attach this step. This step goes, at least on the prototype model that I'm building here, this step would go right there on the first band of the fuel tank, right about that height, kind of low. So we're going to go ahead and attach that later. But real quick, these were the metal components that I was going to use when I was planning on using real metal framework for my mirrors. But I had a hell of a time because I had to use different thicknesses of wire or rod. So I had to use different material metal in terms of metal. So there was a combination of they weren't gluing well together using ACC or CA glue. And I was having a problem of just keeping them, the word is glued, I guess, but assembled. And that means any little jolt on the model once completed was going to knock them off. They were just going to break. So I went ahead and said, you know what, I like the styrene on styrene. How those two pieces, those two materials, it's the same material, but styrene and styrene, using the Tamiya glue or any type of solvent glue like that where they weld together or melt together, that's the way I decided to go ahead and build. Not use the AMT components, but rather the only AMT piece I did use is the actual mirror body itself, but I sanded it down and cleaned it up and stuff. So I went ahead and built my own, out of styrene pieces, my own. And actually, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let me get rid of this thing here. So I went ahead and built my own. Once again, I refer to video footage, screenshots of the actual real thing, so I can model it exactly the way the real thing has it. AMT kind of did a quick covering of it, and they left off some important pieces to me and visually what are important to me, to my eyes. And that would be that this V bottom, you have one at the bottom and one on top on the AMT kit, is way too short. It's about that much long. I showed it in the last video and there was no detail to it. So I looked at Landon Durant's Freightliner once again. I got a couple screenshots from his YouTube channel, and I got permission from Miss Flatbed Red to do that. Thank you very much, Miss Flatbed Red. And check out her YouTube channel and Landon Durant's Consolidated Freightliner when you guys get a chance. Both right here on YouTube, and they're actually pretty darn interesting, and two very, very decent people. That's my big shout out to you guys. The other thing the AMT kit leaves out is this base here. The rear mirrors sit on this metal strip, which gets bolted on to the side of the actual real rig. It gets bolted on here, top of the door and top and the bottom here. I had to get rid of these rivets so it could sit flush, and then I'll glue it on once it's done. But in real life, they get bolted on, and you can see the big bolts sticking out on video. AMT, just pretty much, it's a V sticking out of here, just kind of like wire going in, no base, and it's real short and stubby, no detail. So I went ahead and cleaned it up, as you see here. Now I just finished literally this morning. It's white styrene. There's a little bit of gray or silver there. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and shoot it with a primer. Let it dry so you guys could see. Once it's all one color, you're going to start to see it in a more realistic view, the way I see it. And you'll see why I did what I did. Because once attached to this guy here, it's going to be very, very important to me that everything looks as realistic as my skills can take it. And it's much more improved than how they come in the AMT kit. But if you aren't ready, if you aren't there yet in terms of skills, or just, you just aren't ready to do it, by all means keep building straight out of the kit. Build your practice, build your experience. With each model comes new experience. Eventually you're going to want to expand a little bit out of the box and start doing little minor things like that to just improve the look of the model. Kind of like that see-through grill, those working metal hinges you see there. It goes on and on and on. What you want to do, where you want to take this to, only your imagination is the limit. So let's get off my smoke box real quick. I had a little bit of the correct size styrene tubing or rod to only do barely one mirror. I had to do two. And here's another thing you want to do. Stuff lying around the house, stuff lying around your job or your office or the bottom of the seats underneath your truck or your car. You're always going to find little things that you can say, hey man, I could use that down the road. By all means, as long as you don't become a clutter or a hoarder or out of control house full of junk like me. Put everything in its proper container and label it, and the stuff, it will come around where you're going to use it and you're going to say, hey man, that's actually pretty cool. I don't remember where this is from, but I came across it. Let me get some light on it. I want to say within the last year, and I said, that's metal braided cable. It's perfectly straight. It's in my hand. It's about 2 inches long. But I said, you know what? Somewhere down the road in my model building hobby, I can use that. So I went ahead and saved that. That's an example of that type thing. Saving or using stuff that's around the house or everyday type items that we run across in our daily lives. It's a great way to improve your model without having to go buy, purchase, or make the part. So I ran out of the tubing, the correct size. I had larger and I had slightly thinner. So I went through my AMT kits and I came across one of the, it's a limber kit. It's a 3-in-1 model A Ford pickup truck, and it comes. You can make it a flatbed, a tow truck, or a hot rod. I went ahead and found the correct rod there. the correct size. And this is how you're going to get started. I glue the pieces how I envision them in my brain. To test fit and everything and all that good stuff, I tape it onto my dummy. It's not my dummy, but it's my test mule Freightliner. As you can see, this is one of the ones where I did that 5-part series on the seam and the rivets. And she came out great. A little bit of rivets on top. No seam on the side. I did 5 actual cabs on that 5-part series here a couple months ago. If you're really curious about it, I highly recommend it, because what it does is if you're not even going to go ahead and do this and worry about the seam and the rivets, which is fine, at least what it does, it shows you, and hopefully it relieves that apprehension of, you know what, one of these days I'm going to do that, or I'm going to try this. And that's my test mule. That's been my test mule for the Freightliner project. And but she looks great. It just, once you get rid of that seam, you solve that rivet issue, the cabs take on a different look. Check out that 5-piece video. It was done about 6 months ago. I want to say around January, February of this year, 2023. And just check it out. Just say, okay, man, interesting. They are good kits. The seam and the rivets are no big deal after all. Anyways, getting back to this, I use this as my test mule. You can see for colors and measurements and, you know, this here. And once I did this, and you can see how the yellow styrene rod that came with the Limber kit, you can see the yellow here and the white styrene and the silver mirror. It kind of looks like a disaster. But once we shoot that with primer and we shoot it with our metal color, once we're done, she's going to be fantastic. Check out how she's going to look. So let's do, okay. Since we got guys on TV right now, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to primer this. Pick it up right here. We're going to go ahead and primer this right now so we can start to see. We can start to see how, if you take the time and address some detailed pieces on your model that don't look right in your eye, and you can build them off of any regular styrene lying around the house or in your hobby room or in other kits. Let's do that. Hold on one second while I turn around. And then we'll let this dry. Let's go back and get something nice and dark. All right, now look. Now look at how that mirror looks. Big difference. And that's what we'll do with center that. That's what we'll do with the mirror. That's the yellow mirror where I use the yellow styrene pieces. When they're both done, they'll be both primered here in about an hour or two, and I'm going to shoot them with the. We'll actually do that on camera. Actually, I got the metal pin here. We'll shoot it with its metal color, and you're going to start to see or get an idea in your brain of how. Well, hell, let's do this. of how these pieces are gonna look once you hang them off your model. That's backwards or upside down, but it's just to get the idea. Well, let's do that correctly here. Oh no, I can't do it. I grabbed it wrong. There we go. Still upside down. Yeah. Well, anyways, we'll figure it out when I have the use of two hands. But you start to get the idea. Should be dry right about now. Let's go ahead and hit it with the metallic silver, and then we'll attach it back on there. And you guys let me know what you think. There you go. It's supposed to go like that. You guys bear with me. So I really wanted to shoot this. I was not going to shoot. I was just going to attach everything to the model. It was working kind of quick. Not quick, but I wanted to get as much done this beautiful Sunday that I have to myself. And then I said, you know what? Once I paint these and attach them on the model, I'm not going to be able to show the steps I use or how they look to someone who's interested. So I said, let me shoot a quick video. That's why if I seem unprepared, that's the reason why. But all right, guys, this is why I shot this video. And here you go. Now tell me. Now tell me what you guys think. That's exactly the way the Freightliner cab over units, I guess, because I've only been looking at cab overs, that's the way the mirror setup usually is. There might be variations, but generally they all have that metal base strip on the bottom. And the top portion and the bottom portion that are shaped like V's are a lot longer than what comes with our kits. Okay. Let's do this. So I hope I was able to help somebody today with this. Same way others have been able to help me. I went ahead and referred to Dave Parsley and Robert over at Northern Horse Journeys YouTube site, so I could start learning and getting, at least before I try it, how to build windshield wipers. I looked out in our Freightliner, at least in our prototype, went off the screen so I can't show you the real one, in that the wipers that it has, the real one has down in Austin, Texas here, are very basic, very thin, almost no detail, and the blade is tiny in terms of windshield wipers. So it should not be an issue. I'm trying to pick one up with some tweezers right now, bear with me. All right. All right, let me see. I'll get it on there. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Literally, they're tiny, just like that. Do that again. And you can see it's metal. We use a metal piece. So you'll have one here, you'll have the one on the other. Everything's good to go. It's just a question of sitting down and gluing everything onto the cab. Then we're pretty much getting to the end. You can see how I knocked off one of these by accident, which is fine. These are little metal tubes drilled into the body, the correct height for what we're trying to do. The idea was I was going to drill a tiny hole at the end of my windshield wiper and put a little plastic bolt or pin, in this case an O-scale rivet from Tiki Train Group. TICHY, Tiki or Tichy Train Group. I believe they're still in business. You may want to check Google or your local hobby store. And this is a tube. It's got a hole through there, so I was going to attach the windshield wiper arm and then put that rivet through, acting like a bolt, and then glue everything together. It's just that tiny piece I got to drill through. It's just a little too narrow, and I may still do it. I may not. I'm not sure. But and I don't know if you guys noticed, that's an actual see-through grill made out of metal, and I got that idea. Robert over at B&R Northern Horse Journey, once again, did a whole video on, I think it was his International, or was it a Western Star? I don't remember, but he used a see-through grill. And I had the material here in my house, got a bunch of it, and I found the one that was perfect for our Freightliner. And check it out. It's just, let me just ask you guys this. Are you guys having fun yet with your projects? And on purpose, leave off a certain detail item. Don't even use it. The one that came from your AMT box, and say, you know what? I'm going to make this out of styrene or aluminum or whatever. You should see how it looks. I guarantee you, once you start doing that and you attach it on your model, and the model's done and people look at it and you look at it on the shelf, you're going to be hooked. This is freaking addicting. Anyways, you guys take care. I want you guys to have an awesome, beautiful Sunday and summer and this beautiful, beautiful, hot, very hot and kind of muggy now summer out here on your outpost on the West Coast in sunny California. This end of August 2023. You guys have an awesome rest of your Sunday. You guys take care.